Um, Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's special meeting. We celebrate 39 years of the Clearwater Group keeping its doors open, to which the members of the Clearwater Group are eternally grateful. Please, just a general note that this meeting audio is being recorded for archive purposes. I will give a brief history of the group later on during the meeting, but tonight I'm going to carry on with the preamble. Tonight I'm acting as chairperson in my turn. As is customary for each of us, I shall first introduce myself. My name is Vishal, and I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And through following its program, I've refrained from drinking since June 8, 2016. AA is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve that common problem and help others recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses or opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and to help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to one and all to tonight's celebration of 39 years of the Clearwater Group being in existence. Are there any newcomers at either this meeting or AA in general? Kindly raise your hand so we can give you a warm welcome. Hi, June, I see you. Matthew, Bahrain, welcome. Charles W, Jane, welcome. We have this meeting every night at 8 o'clock South African time. Please feel free to join us whenever you wish to. Andrea, welcome. There's no one else. I'm going to continue. This is an open speaker meeting. Everyone will be muted except for the speaker. You will be, you may unmute if you wish to share a comment after the speaker has concluded their share. Before I proceed with the readings, I'm going to please beg your indulgence. We've got, I'd like to get the formalities of the cake cutting out of the way. I've got an official cake cutter in my home who is very anxious to get this aspect of the celebrations done. So if you will please indulge me, I'm just going to relocate my computer. It will take me 1 second. Thank you.
Oh, you're ready now.
Thank you for your indulgence. It's very much appreciated. I've got a very special helper to assist me tonight. There's no cake that can be cut in this house without it being cut by the special cake cutter. So please light the cake. So we're going to sing first. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday
dear
to
Clarence.
Clarence.
Happy
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 birthday
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 to
to
you.
to you.
Hooray!
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 Hooray! Hooray!
Hooray!
Hooray!
How's the session?
Hi guys.
How's the session?
Thank you, Louis, for the cake also.
Thank you for that very special indulgence. I could have to explain in the morning how a cake got cut in this house without it being cut by my youngest. So with that, I'm going to proceed with today's with today's um, events. The readings today will have chapter 5, How It Works by Shanil S., the 12 Traditions by Kishen, and the Promises by Kuben N. And with that, please unmute and proceed, Shanil.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shanil. I'm definitely an alcoholic. It's great to see so many people on the meeting already. I've been excited for this all day. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate the Clever Group on 39 years, their 39th birthday. I'd like to thank the founding members, the members who initially started the Clever Group, and the current members as well for keeping the doors open. Thank you so much, guys. Chapter 5, How It Works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to the simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures have availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7. Humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us have exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear three pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. C, that God could and would if He were sought. Thank you, Vishal.
Thank you, Sonia. Traditions, please, Kishan. Please unmute and continue, Kishan.
Sorry, you just caught me off guard there, Vishal. I just joined the meeting. Sorry. Hi, everyone. My name is Kishan. I'm an alcoholic. The 12 traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as He may express Himself in our group conscious. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3, the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4, each group should be autonomous, except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6, an AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personality.
Good evening, friends. I'm Kuben. I'm an alcoholic. A warm welcome to the Clearwood Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. I wish to congratulate all my brothers for this wonderful occasion and making the Clearwood Group a warm, loving, and caring place for me and others as well. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. The AA promises, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We'll intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we cannot do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank our three leaders, Shanil, Kishen, and Kuben. In keeping with our third tradition, which states that the only requirement for a membership is a desire to stop drinking, we ask that all who participate confine the discussion to their problem with alcohol. In conducting the meeting tonight, I wish to remind you that whatever is said at this meeting, either by me or any other speaker, expresses our individual opinion as of tonight. We do not speak for AA as a whole, and you are free to agree or disagree with anything that cannot be reconciled with what is in the AA book. Friends, the responsibility of the chairpersons at AA meetings to introduce the text of Alcoholics Anonymous, entitled Alcoholics Anonymous. The purpose of this book is to enable the reader to find power greater than themselves, which will solve their problem with alcoholism. The first 164 pages contains the program of recovery, the 12-step program. The balance of the book contains stories for identification purposes written by alcoholics for alcoholics like myself. Friends, I'm going to continue with the balance of the program for tonight. And before we introduce our speakers, I thought that it would be an ideal opportunity to give a brief history of the formation and the history of the Clearwood Group. The Clearwood Group of AA was formed in August 1982. It was formed by a few resident members of the Clearwood community. Almost all of the founding members have since unfortunately passed away. The names that we have on record are Harry, who went on to be a member of the Grove End Group in Phoenix, Morgan Palani's brother, now late, Sergey, now late. Unfortunately, there's not much information on this founding members of the Clearwood Group. We do know that the group held its inaugural meeting at the Sidar Road Temple, and that despite the inclement weather, it was very well attended. Amongst the speakers were C.N. Mudlia and Prem K. Due to the industrialization of Clearwood, most of the settled community were subsequently moved to the new developments of Chatsworth and Phoenix. This meant that most, if not all, of the founding members had moved out of Clearwood. For much of its early development and right up until today, it has been a challenge finding AA members in this community. Unfortunately, our only Clearwood resident member, Tegi, has recently passed away. May his soul rest in peace. The phenomenon of no resident Clearwood group home members gave rise to the concept of an orphan group. Members from the neighboring communities of Merebank, Osterville, Bluff, Isipingo, Chatsworth kept the Clearwood group open. These members selflessly gave of themselves to ensure that the doors of AA were open in Clearwood. The names of the then active members who come to mind are the late Uncle Kitty, Mike, Siva, Harry, Jaggi from the Merewan group, and Ganesan. The late Krish N from Isipingo and Manny from Isipingo as well. Uncle NC and Morgan Palani from the Bayview group, the late Keith Martin and David VW from Osterville, and many others from the surrounding AA groupings. From around 1995, the Clearwood group seemed to have come of age. But then a few members had decided to make the Clearwood group their home group. The earliest of these members were Paul O, now late, Uncle AC, Vatsi N, Jeevan P, Lloyd B, Rajan P, who is also unfortunately late, and Stanley N. Fortunately, we've got Batsi N, Jeevan P, and Uncle Stanley who join us today, and we are grateful for their presence and their guiding light in the group. Today, the group has approximately 20 group members. It considers itself a three-legacy group in that it subscribes equally to the legacies of recovery, unity, and service. We have a big book workshop group and a virtual platform, the Vision of Hope. Our members continue to serve AA in various service positions, both regionally and nationally. The physical location of the group has moved over the years. Over the past 39 years, the group was forced to change venue several times. From the Cedar Road Temple, the group moved to the Clarewood South School, and then on to the CTI School, and then now into its current location at the Clarewood Secondary School. This last venue would appear to be our final resting place, as we have good relations with the school and have contributed to the development and upliftment of the school. It is a good venue with ample parking and very safe venue for members' meetings. Some of the highlights from our group over the years: as part of the group's Unity Legacy Initiative, the group has a quarterly group inventory weekend where the group goes away for a weekend getaway, and we workshop the pertinent traditions central to the group's unity and its primary purpose in carrying the message to the still suffering alcoholic in a simulated conference-style setting. We pay particular attention to our Tradition 7 responsibilities to AA. This has played a large role in the group's success in sponsoring members to different service positions within AA and developing a secondary tier of leadership within AA. One of the highlights of the group was hosting the World Service delegates at our group in KZN when they visited South Africa in 2018. Members from over 170 countries were in attendance. 2 members of our group served on the local organizing committee of the event. Embracing the future, where we are right now and where we see ourselves going into the future. With the advent of COVID and the subsequent lockdowns, the Clarewood group, led by Session P and Kuben N, later followed by Kuben G, launched our virtual meeting platform, the Vision of Hope. Today, some 2 years later, this has developed into one of the various platforms around the world. It is a Zoom AA meeting of choice for many AA members from 5 continents from around the globe, for which we are eternally grateful. It has given many of us who would otherwise may never have had the chance to meet and engage with our brother and sister alcoholics from around the world. We envisage keeping the Vision of Hope platform going on into the future, even after lockdown is over. This will enable our old and sick members in our midst the opportunity to make desperately needed AA meetings. Thank you. That's the brief history of the Clarewood group. And with that, I'm going to continue to introduce tonight's speakers. We've got a 3-speaker lineup. Our first speaker will be our Clarewood group speaker, Kuben G, who's got approximately 10 to 15 minutes to share his experience, strength, and hope. Our Al-Anon speaker will be next. Janice C from the Belleville group joins us. Thank you, Janice, for giving us your time and service. Very much appreciated. Janice will also have approximately 10 to 15 minutes to share. And then our final AA speaker is Bob D from Las Vegas, who will have approximately 30 to 40 minutes to share. And with that, I'm going to zip my mouth, mute, and hand over to the various speakers, starting off with Kubenji. Over to you, Kubenji. All the best. Good luck.
Thank you, Vishal. Good morning, good day. Welcome, everyone, to Vision of Hope. My name is Kuben, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'd like to congratulate Clarewood Group of reaching 39 years of existence. I also like to thank all the members of the Clarewood Group for all the efforts that they make in doing service. I'd like to start off by saying sharing for me is never easy. My life was filled with suffering, pain, and degradation in my drinking. I was always unhappy and lashing out at people. If I was waiting in line or waiting for a meal at a restaurant, it was not acceptable. I mean, how dare they make me wait in line? The king of the world. The world was mine, and I'd take what I wanted. And when things didn't go my way that I wanted to, alcohol would be my solution. When the first drink was taken, my world would shatter into a million pieces. At the end of the binge, I'd try and put back all those pieces. I was the type of drinker that always saved room for drink rather than eat. Feeling tipsy was a feeling I enjoyed and often bragged about. Little did I realize that feeling of tipsiness was alcohol poisoning me. I can remember clearly when I was young walking home in the early mornings, bragging about how many bottles we drank, making the illegal bottle store serve us after hours. It was all fun till it wasn't anymore. 37 years ago, my mother gave birth to a beautiful baby boy named Kuben. I grew up in a decent religious environment. I loved God and I obeyed Him. I preached house to house. At the age of 13 at Kings Park Stadium, I was baptized in front of thousands of people. In order to drink when I wanted to, I used Bible scriptures where it says, "Little wine rejoices the heart." I wasn't allowed to smoke and do drugs. It was instilled in me from a very young age. I was taught never to fight, and if someone slaps you, to do what Jesus did and offer your right cheek. And as a result, I was bullied a lot in school. With my high moral values, some teachers liked me, some took interest in me, but my peers were very jealous. My neighbor should always make me the umpire when we played cricket because he knew I couldn't tell lies. I often look back at my childhood being the most innocent days of my life until I crossed that imaginary line. You're probably wondering, if I had God in my life, how did I become an alcoholic? Alcoholism is cunning, baffling, powerful. My dad retired early due to health reasons. Our financial resources were very bad. There were days he couldn't afford groceries, but we never went to bed hungry. And somehow, the bills always got paid. We lived doing God's work, and God took care of us. My dad started looking for work, and when that failed, he started many business ventures. From selling chemicals to having pineapple stores at events such as fairs and the Vodacom July. Finally, one worked, and money started coming in. And business soon became priority over God, and that's when problems started creeping in. It didn't take long for us to stop attending meetings regularly and my parents to have marital problems. I always blame money as the cause and the result. Staying home for me was very difficult. It was always a battlefield where we constantly had to choose sides between my parents. I just wanted to escape. Slowly, I started associating with the wrong crowd. Drinking was always an in thing, along with drugs, which I never touched. And hiding and drinking made it fun. Alcohol started progressing from a six-pack to a crate to a straight of whiskey. I slowly started frequenting bars. I was not allowed to go to nightclubs or any places that had disco lights. But as my drinking progressed, so did my immorality. Alcohol made me fit in, but little did I realize I was losing myself. The kind, beautiful child who always wore his heart on his sleeve, and always warm and respectful, was ceasing to exist. There was always a reason to drink. I drank to party. I drank to have fun. I drank when I was lonely. I drank when I was happy. I used any excuse to drink. King alcohol was always there. In my drunken state, I wrote off cars. I drove aimlessly for days, not knowing what I was doing. I had friends that would call to talk about events that I could not remember. In Alcoholics Anonymous, they call it blackouts, where alcohol damages your brain cells, causing loss of memory. I've had numerous of fights. Altercation was the law. Many of them were drinking and driving cases. I struggled with alcoholism for years. For years, I was in denial. God was lost. The only time I prayed was when I was in trouble. I remember sitting in the back of a police vehicle, praying for God to help me. My dad was a cancer patient, and he was suffering with cancer for years. When my mom and him fought, he often stopped taking his medication, forcing him to be admitted to hospital for weeks upon weeks. That was the norm in my home. He was sick the whole week. He refused to go to the doctor. After 2 or 3 days, I finally had to force him, only to realize he was so weak he couldn't get out of bed. So I carried him to the van and then to the specialist's office. Later that day, he was admitted to hospital. I thought after a week or so, he would be okay. But on the 13th of August 2013, he passed away. I remember going to the hospital and I only cried for 5 minutes. I didn't cope with his death. I chose to drown myself with alcohol and later drugs. And that's when my alcoholism really got worse. Fear of leaving my house, fear of meeting friends became the norm. I degraded myself, humiliated myself. And when I went out, it stopped being fun. Maybe it started off fun and became a nightmare I created. Alcoholism had robbed me of my innocence, my youth, and freedom. I describe it as being in darkness for 4 years. The big book tells us of a 3-letter word called yet. If it didn't happen to you yet, give it more time, more money, more booze, and it will happen. When I'd had enough, I reached out to a family friend and he said, Kuben, I've been waiting for you to ask for help. He made all the arrangements and I was admitted to Bill and Bob's room on the 13th of November 2017. The same day I called a friend of mine telling me I'm admitting myself to rehab. I wanted him to also come with me. But he turned around and told me, Kuben, do you know what happens in a rehab? You go there and the guys will rob you and stab you. Public rehabs are very dangerous. So I hesitated. My mom saw me procrastinate. She said, Kuben, you just get yourself treated. And after 14 days, you'll be good. I was just scared for no reason. At the time, I was convinced I had a problem with drugs. I thought if I could stop using, everything can go back to normal. I met a member of the rehab and he shared a message with me. I related to his message. I related to him so well. I had gone to a bar I frequented and one of my friends wanted to fight with me. And I had no idea why, because I blacked out. I had a roommate named Segi, and the first night I couldn't shut him up. He told me his whole life story. We had to get up 6 a.m. every morning, shower, get dressed, and finally, after finishing all the chores, we would have a meeting at 10 a.m. And I think getting up at 6 a.m. really humbled me by doing all the chores. On the third day, Robbie shared in the Overwatch group, and when he shared, a lot of memories came back flooding. I was 18 years old, drinking and driving. There were road cones put up from the beginning of the road, separating the lanes. I smashed through every one of those cones. stopping my car directly in front of the police vehicle. Luckily, the guy recognized me and called my dad instead of locking me up. This memory was buried deep inside of me for decades. But after listening to Robbie share, it came to light. That's when I realized that alcohol was my problem. I left after a week in Bill and Bob's room. My mom was upset and scared at the same time. I already made my mind up on the third day, and as a businessman, I couldn't afford to stay in there any longer. I had to tend to business and keep doing meetings. Raymond from Bill and Bob's rooms told me, "You're welcome anytime." So whenever I had free time, I visited the rehab. On many occasions, I bought lunch, and my ex-roommate was always happy to see me. What played a part in keeping me sober. I met a guy who relapsed after 21 years of sobriety, which reminded me how important doing meetings are. I was told to choose a home group and get a sponsor. I used to pick many AAs up and did meetings all over Durban. Sometimes we picked up other members as well as newcomers. I've never counted the days I've been sober. It was suggested to me to take it one day at a time. Don't think about tomorrow, just stay sober for the day. It was also suggested I do 90 meetings in 90 days. So I just made meetings non-stop. I remember going to Alcoholics Anonymous Fun Day, and some of the members asked me how long I was sober. When I took count, I was surprised. I strongly believe that God was always with me, watching me, looking after me, and waiting for me to come back to Him. After 6 months, I unblocked all my friends from my phone. I thought I was strong enough to handle them. One of my friend's mom sent me a nasty message. In a message, she said she was happy for me, but her son is still in the gutters. He got caught for drinking and driving, and I helped him. And I even drove his van back to his home. And that's the message she sent me afterwards. It was hurtful, but I decided to help him. I picked him up for meetings every day. If I didn't pick him up, he wouldn't attend. So eventually, the program didn't work for him. I did that for many of my friends. I even put myself at risk. I went to a friend's flat, and there were drugs and alcohols everywhere. But after a few days, they circulated rumors that I also joined them. I wanted to show them that Alcoholics Anonymous works, and if it worked for me, it can work for them. In my recovery, one of the drinking and driving cases came back. In my mind at the time, I'm sober, why now? Depression came along with self-pity. I kept thinking, what am I going to do? The words honesty kept appearing in my mind. So I decided to be honest. I'm standing in the court, ready to plead guilty, and to my surprise, the case was dismissed for lack of evidence. Some of the things that were showing me God's hand at work started happening to me. I always wanted my first share to be in Bill and Bob's room, but Dan from the Clayton group asked me to share, and when I got there, they had trouble entering the place. And that's how I got to share in Bill and Bob's room, my first share. That's when I stopped being selfish. When I prayed, it was only me, myself, and I. Now I include everyone that's dear to me and is still suffering. I attended all Alcoholics Anonymous events, dinners, and dances, food fairs, rallies. I attended the 2019 convention in Johannesburg. The same year, I did a rally in Cape Town, and I was given the opportunity to read how it works in the rally. I made a lot of friends in Alcoholics Anonymous. Suresh, also known as Suri, used to call himself my unofficial sponsor. I spent a lot of time with him, holidays away, and we spoke regularly on the phone for hours. Only after he died, I realized how much I loved him. I have similar relationships now. Over time, members of Alcoholics Anonymous started to have found a special place in my heart, whether I wanted them or not. We may be cautious of getting hurt, but we have the solution how to heal. The big book says sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Working the 12-step program, I've come to find my inner self and also acknowledge incidents, feelings, and emotions I tried to forget. I'm not a guru in Alcoholics Anonymous, nor am I someone that wants to lecture you on the steps. But what I will tell you, if you work this program to the best of your ability, then things in your wildest dreams will materialize in your life. In closing, I'd like to say that today I have freedom of choice. I can carry all my bank cards and not worry about draining all my accounts. I have a good phone that I bought when I was in recovery. In the past, I couldn't keep a phone. I'd either lose it or one of my so-called friends would steal it. There's a lot of life challenges I struggle with, but alcohol is not one of them. And if I continue on this path of self-awareness, depending on the God and having that vital experience, there is nothing I can't overcome. Alcohol is but a distant memory.